He said it with a smirk. Dumbass. You should have read the fine print. Laughter filled the shareholder meeting. Cameras flashed, applause echoed. My boss, ex-boss, stood there, soaking in the humiliation he thought he'd dealt me. I stayed seated, calm. My pulse didn't quicken, my eyes didn't waver. I already knew how this story ended, so I leaned forward, my voice even, sharp enough to cut the noise. Clause 4B, I said. General Counsel, would you read it aloud? The room hushed. Pages shuffled. His lips moved once, twice. Then his face drained white. Upon termination, he stammered, all intellectual property created by the head of R&D reverts to her. Gasps. Silence. A dozen executives shifted uncomfortably in their leather chairs. The portfolio, the patents, the algorithms, the tech they flaunted as their empire was no longer theirs. It was mine. And I had been waiting for this moment since the first crack of betrayal. I remember when I first met him, the Golden Boy CEO. Sharp jaw, sharper suit, eyes full of charm that masked hunger. He called me the backbone of the company. Your mind, he'd said, will change everything. I believed him. I believed in us. Nights spent coding until dawn, sketching prototypes on coffee-stained napkins. I gave him brilliance. He gave me promises. We shook hands like partners. I thought I had found someone who saw me. But power is a slow poison. It twisted him, inch by inch. The compliments turned to dismissals. Credit for my work started slipping from my name to his lips. I watched the boardroom nod as he paraded my inventions like trophies. And then I found the email. He had written to a competitor, offering them my tech, the one I'd spent 3 sleepless years perfecting. He called it his brainchild. He called me replaceable. I sat at my desk that night, staring at the glowing screen. My hands didn't shake, my chest didn't heave. I just understood. Trust was dead, but I wasn't. That's when I pulled out the contract, the one nobody but me had bothered to actually read. Buried in legal jargon, in a paragraph they skimmed over during onboarding, was Clause 4B. I had insisted on it years ago after an intern tried to steal a prototype. They laughed at me then, called me paranoid, but I knew better. The clause was clear. All intellectual property reverted to me upon termination. Not resignation, not sale, termination. So I waited, quiet, invisible. I let him grow arrogant. I let him believe the empire was untouchable. And I kept building, inventing, filing patents under the company's banner, knowing the moment he tried to cut me out, everything would snap back into my hands. The betrayal came public. Of course it did. He staged it like a performance, firing me mid-meeting, cameras rolling, shareholders clapping. He wanted humiliation etched into my skin. But he miscalculated. Humiliation burns only if you let it. I preferred to let it sharpen. So when the room fell silent after Clause 4B, I finally stood. Every eye followed, his included. You should have read the fine print, I said, echoing his words back at him. My tone was calm, but it carried like a knife sliding between ribs. He opened his mouth, searching for bravado, but nothing came. He knew. They all knew. Without the patents, without the tech, the company was a shell. His empire had just collapsed in real time. The fallout was immediate. Share prices plummeted within hours. Journalists swarmed the building. Investors pulled their money. He tried to call me. 10 missed calls, all ignored. Instead, I met with his competitors, the ones he'd once whispered to. This time, I was the name on the patents. The negotiations were on my terms, and they paid. By the end of the week, I owned what they had tried to steal. By the end of the month, I had a new company, new partners, and their brightest engineers lining up to join me. As for him, he became a cautionary tale, the CEO who laughed too soon. Sometimes, late at night, I replay that moment in the boardroom. His laugh, the applause, the smug certainty that he had broken me. And then the silence, the dawning horror as Clause 4B unraveled his entire kingdom. Revenge didn't come with fire or fists. It came with patience, with precision, with letting him build his own noose, one signature at a time. I don't feel guilt, not anymore. I feel clarity. He once called me replaceable. Funny. Turns out the only replaceable thing in that company was him. So when people ask me if it was worth it, I only smile. Yes. Every second, every sleepless night, every insult I swallowed. Because in the end, he gave me the stage, the spotlight, the moment of reckoning. And I gave him nothing. Nothing but the silence that followed after I walked out of that boardroom. His empire in ruins, my future in my hands. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And sometimes it sounds exactly like the turning of a page in a contract no one bothered to read.